The legal age to purchase tobacco products in the town of Barnstable could soon be raised to 21. Barnstable County sees an uptick in home sales, and the Agricultural Commission hopes to expand the town's community garden program. These stories and more on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Wednesday, July 9th, 2014. I'm Sarah Mantle. Barnstable residents may soon need to be 21 or over to purchase tobacco products. The Board of Health is considering adopting new regulations that would raise the minimum age to purchase tobacco products, including e-cigarettes, from 18 to 21. Board of Health Chair Dr. Wayne Miller talked about why the regulations have worked well in other towns.
And the rationale behind it, again, is all the current studies that have come out in the medical literature in the last 2 years, which show a much greater propensity towards addiction with the teenage brain as opposed to the 21-year-old brain. And it makes a good argument for delaying the age of purchase to 21 from 18. Number two, to include any combustible as smoking and therefore subject to the regulations that are in place for tobacco smoke. And number three, to, at this point in time, and the reason for that, again, is that there are agents of harm in most of the combustibles, and therefore we would rather err on the side of safety. We don't prohibit people from doing it, but we do prohibit its use in public spaces, so we keep it from harming people who are not intending to smoke. And three is inclusion of e-cigarettes as part of the smoking and having them controlled at the same level as tobacco products. And again, the reason for this is that the recent studies call into question their efficacy as being a mechanism to stop smoking. Further studies that show that indeed most people who use e-cigarettes also use tobacco, and it may be an entrance to tobacco products for youngsters. And finally, that there are in fact carcinogens, albeit at a low level, much lower level than tobacco smoke, but there are carcinogens identified in the vapors from e-cigarettes. And again, it's not going to keep anybody from using them, but it will prevent exposure for people who don't want to be exposed to it.
Cheryl Sabaro, attorney for the Mass Association of Health Boards, talked about how many Bay State communities have already adopted the regulations and how they've worked so far.
On the age 21, we have 25 municipalities that have adopted the minimum legal sales age of 21. The most recent one being, well, actually we have 26. Brimfield actually did it a couple last week, but Yarmouth's went into effect July 1st. And I worked closely with Bruce Murphy, who I think contacted your health director, and there was a little level of anxiety about how it would go when they went and did their visits with all of the retailers, but he reports back that everything went very smoothly. He and a health inspector went to each retailer and explained what the regulations did and did not do, provided them signage, and he said he was very pleased with the way the enforcement has played out so far. Their regulation also prohibits flavored tobacco products, in addition to other tobacco products, which would be nicotine delivery products, electronic cigarettes. They ban all flavored tobacco products, so all of those had to be taken off the shelves.
At any age?
At any age. And the rationale behind that, and that is in the draft that you have, the rationale behind that is exactly the same rationale that was used by the FDA when they banned flavored cigarettes. Rationale being that the flavors were targeted toward youth. I mean, some of the flavors are gummy bear, tutti frutti. Yeah. I mean, it's just remarkable what some of the flavors are, and that rationale was enough of a public health threat to make banning them for everyone, with certain exceptions. If you have retail tobacco stores which are adult only, or if you have smoking bars that would be adult only, they would be exempt because minors couldn't go into those places to purchase those products. So your draft also would include that. Right now, the only municipalities that have done it, actually the city of Newton did it on June 16th, the town of Sherborne and the town of Yarmouth. Those are the only three in the state, and it went into effect. There have been no lawsuits filed against the town, and they are being actively enforced.
Co-owner of Vape Cod, Tom Conieris, says his main concern is making sure the new regulations would not prohibit them from allowing customers to sample their products.
Everyone we talked to who said they tried vaping and it didn't help them quit smoking or get off cigarettes tried it with a $20 convenience store cigarette. And they just don't work that well. It's sort of like if you got a $5 camera and you took pictures and they came out crummy and you said, well, photography stinks. You actually need a decent product. And people won't spend money on a decent product, which can cost anywhere from $50 to $150 for a decent vaporizer, unless they can try it, feel it, and actually experience it. If Hyannis were to prohibit sampling of vapor products inside our store, and this is really the only thing we're asking for an exception on, it'll make it harder to convert cigarette smokers, people who are already smoking, to vapor products, and may prevent many residents from realizing health effects. This is a new area. I made some packets, which I'll leave to you, which have information on vaping, but not all the information's in. One of the things people say is that the base, which is a glycerin base, maybe that's, who knows. If that's bad, don't ban the product, switch to another base. There are other options that we can use, but this is a substitute for people who are otherwise going to smoke cigarettes.
Right now, the town's legal department is putting together a final draft of the proposed regulations. Once that is turned over to the Board of Health, it will be posted on the town's website for resident review, and a public hearing will be scheduled. Home sales are on the rise in Barnstable County. Register of Deeds Jack Mead says the volume of sales was up 12.1% in the month of June compared to the same time last year.
In terms of, we're matching last year, and last year was a very strong year, so we've come from a long way down. As you mentioned, we were back 09, 10, 11, very quiet years in terms of real estate activity, and we're starting to see a comeback from that. So our volume numbers are up. As I mentioned earlier, I like the volume numbers. That's an indicator for me. So we start to see those volume numbers come up. We're on track with what we were doing last year. With luck, we'll have a strong finish in 2014 and see the volume numbers going along. The area that we are down significantly is the mortgage volume area, and you mentioned that where the refinance market seems to have quieted down significantly in the last year or so, and I think that's a result of the fact that interest rates have been low for a number of years now, a significant lowering of rates, probably starting 4 or 5 years ago. And so a lot of folks who were able to refinance and get into and reduce their payments have been able to and are not looking to go back in because the rates aren't making that work for them. So and now credit things are a little tighter, et cetera. So there are other reasons why people might not be able to get into the refinance market even if they wanted to. So we're seeing a decrease in the mortgage volume, but the sales volume seems to be working its way towards the areas that we like to see.
Mead says another good indicator the housing market is bouncing back is that the value of total sales for the month of June was up 16.8% from June of last year. The Barnstable Agricultural Commission is hoping to increase the town's stock of community gardens, building on the success of a garden at the Long Pond Conservation Area in Marston's Mills and several gardens at our schools. The Commission is hoping to create more opportunities for gardeners. Your ideas are needed as the process moves forward. You can head to barnstableiforum.com today, where you can learn more about the effort, as well as share your thoughts and ideas on community gardens in our town of Barnstable. Well, be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, weekdays at 7 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we will talk with entomologist Gabrielle Sokolsky about how to keep mosquitoes at bay. We'll also talk with Glenn Cannon from the Cape Cod Commission about the expansion of local bike paths. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.